Wow,
You with Anthony Brogdon at Strong Inspirations, and I got a guy who is a nice, happy guy. Y'all see, he smiles, he happy, he tell jokes and all kind of stuff, but he liked that history. This guy is an expert on Black history. It's amazing. Let me say, I think somebody told me about him. I know who did. I went to talk about some history in New York, and it said, I know the guy you need to talk to, and he's on the show now. We jamming here at Strong Inspirations, where I give it to you straight, no chaser. I let them tell it and give you this history to intoxicate your mind, to have you staggering, not DUI, but have you staggering with what they're gonna tell you. Oh my God, we coming across the globe. Let me tell you, I'm excited even today, because before this gentleman came on, I had a guy on the channel out of Johannesburg, South Africa. Watch that video, it'll be up shortly. He said he grew up in one of them tough neighborhoods in Lagos, Nigeria, and said, oh man, you got to see this one. This gentleman here is out of New York. I got a guy, and have you watched this video, a guy on the show who's a professor, don't remember his name, I ain't gonna lie to you, but he talks about how Harlem became a Black neighborhood. That wasn't the intent. That wasn't the intent. He tells that story. Watch that video. I got a video on the channel. I'm staying on the East Coast, of a lady out of New Hampshire. It's an incredible story. This lady's sister, what happened, she's out of Jamaica. Check it out. She left Jamaica, went to college in Alabama. I know that blew her mind. And then left Alabama, and she's in New Hampshire, making a difference. Watch that video. I got a lady on the channel out of not far from New York, upstate New York, not far across the water from Buffalo. Do you know them slaves ran all the way over to Canada, to St. Catherine? And the slave catchers were still trying, and Canada said, no, once they get here, it's a wrap. Well, Harriet Tubman was one of them. And this lady's great-great-grandfather was Harriet Tubman's minister. She attends the church where Harriet Tubman attended. Watch that video. Oh, we jamming here at Strong Inspirations. Come on, my brothers and sisters. From around the world, you can hit the subscribe button. It's free. It don't ask no information. You can hit that notifications bell, because when I put up a video, you want to get dinged. I got a message from a lady. She said, when you put up a video talking about me, I get a message that rings where I can hear it wherever I am. And she says, I ain't gonna lie to you. She was just telling me, I don't know if she blowing smoke or not. She says, when I get the ding, I'm a little bit happier, because I know you're gonna tell me, you and your guest, something that I don't know, and I like learning. That's what this guy is gonna do. You're gonna learn something from him. So do that, check it out. My Twitter feed, I don't say this enough, but my Twitter feed is A Strong Dream. Follow me there. Instagram is A Strong 11. I think that's how it goes. I got a Facebook page, several of them. One titled Strong Inspirations, another titled Black History Then and Now /movie. And then that leads into, I got another one titled Business in the Black. This is a documentary that I did. I mean me, I produced it, I hired the crew. It took me 2 years to get it together, and here it is. I took it to 40 cities on my own dime. I spent all my money traveling the US like Johnny Appleseed, putting out this information. I rented venues of all sorts. And I ain't gonna lie to you, sometimes nobody showed. And we still watched it. But when they watched it, whoever was there, they told somebody. Because I had people call me back, say, man, I'm sorry, we missed that. We need you to come back. And I did. Business in the Black, the rise of Black business in America. It's streaming on Amazon. I'm that much more serious about my game that I took the time to write this book. It's called Black Business Book. You need to get you a copy of this. I predict this right here is going to be one of those keepsakes. One of them keepsakes. I predict that because it's too comprehensive, too easy to read. And I give you a reference section because you're going to say, I never heard those names. Elizabeth Keckley, have you ever heard of her? She was a slave, got her freedom, and became a dressmaker. And she was such highly
regarded.
Yep, highly regarded. That's the way to put it.
That she
was friends with
for Abraham Lincoln.
You see what I'm saying?
Mary Todd Lincoln.
It's in the book. It's in the book. Get you a copy of this book.
And everybody. She was one of the few people that could calm Mary Todd Lincoln down.
Yeah. Boom, there it is. It's in the book. The book is very reasonably priced. Two more things. If you read this book and you don't learn nothing new, I give your money back. Have you ever heard of a book with a money back guarantee? No, you haven't. Boom, shakalaka, there it is. I'm that confident. You just send me a message, say I knew all that, man. All right, man. If you knew all this, you that good, I give you money back. So it's no, just do it. And to get the book, to learn more about what I'm doing, and I got some big other plans, like that festival in Kansas City. I'm gonna show up. I'll be there. Memorial Day weekend. If you haven't signed up and you're wondering, come on down. We're gonna make it happen. All right. And all that is on my website, which is businessintheblack.net. Go there. Support the cause. You can donate $5. You say, hey, I don't need the book. I don't need to watch it. I don't need it. Just donate something because watching this channel is free. So you can donate on there. Lastly, you hear me use that term strong a lot. Strong is my favorite word. I like my last name being Brogdon, but my middle name could be Strong. I like Strong. Strong stands for strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace. And that is my introduction to the man who smiles, who laughs, who's a happy guy. Come on, man. Tell us your name. Thank you for coming on Strong Inspirations.
Jacob Morris.
And where are you? You where you from? Well, we're gonna talk about you personally for a minute before we get to these stories. Where you from?
I'm from New York City.
New York City. You what now hold on. What borough? What borough? Let's go there.
I grew up in Astoria, Queens.
All right.
Right. Well, you know, I still call it the Triborough Bridge.
Okay. Growing up,
not the Robert F. Kennedy Bridge. You know that. I got a thing about names. You know, you know, they named the 59th Street Bridge after Ed Koch. They named the Triborough Bridge after Robert F. Kennedy. I'm like,
let me ask you this: growing up in Queens, was Queens? What's the makeup? Was there a white section where the white people lived in Queens, a black where the black people lived? Or was it all intermingled? Whatever. What's that dynamic?
The part of Astoria, Queens, where I grew up, was working class, Greek and Italian.
Are you Greek?
So I think that's part of it.
Okay.
Actually, let's see. Oh boy. I grew up I grew up, and my whole life, I knew that I was Greek, Italian, I'm sorry, Greek, Spanish, and Jewish.
Let me ask you this. Did you have a friend, a black kid as a friend growing up?
Not until I got to be a teenager. Not until I got to be a teenager.
And then how did you have one as a teenager? You went to a school with one, he moved into the neighborhood.
Yeah, I wound up going to Brooklyn Tech, which is one of the selective high schools in New York City.
Okay. Let me ask you this: when you were growing up, what was your impression?
There was some black kids in Brooklyn Tech.
Yeah. When you were growing up, what was your impression of black kids? What did your folks tell you? Stay away, be afraid.
No,
don't mess with them.
No. It
Okay,
wasn't. It wasn't that. It wasn't really a topic that much. But there wasn't a lot of interaction, like I said, until I got to high school, and then good old high school.
Okay, let me ask you this: when did you learn and become an admirer of Black history?
Well, definitely after I got out of the Army. It was in the Army that then, I mean, there I was serving with a whole lot of black guys. That was Vietnam. So yeah, I served with a whole lot of black guys, and you're serving with guys, and your life is on the line with your buddy. You can't be fucking around.
All right, good point. We're gonna stay on that for a minute. I like where you're going. So when you got there, did you all of a sudden say, even if you weren't slighted, biased, or whatever, I'm gonna give you that. Did you have to say, I gotta really appreciate this person under these conditions?
I don't
to help me survive.
I don't know if it was that conscious.
Okay.
It was like but we all knew, that if the guy next to us fucked up, let's call it like it is.
Yeah.
That, he could die. He could cause the other guy to die. He could cause the whole squad to die.
Yeah.
It was life and death in Vietnam.
Let me ask you this. Was there, did you see some policies or otherwise that was slighted against the black soldiers when you were there? They didn't promote them to higher ranks. They had to stay in certain barracks, any of that kind of thing.
No. However, I mean, most of my sergeants were black.
Oh, really?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
And let me tell you, an infantry drill sergeant is not a joke. These are some tough fucking guys.
Now, hold on. I've never been in the service.
They were tough, and they were very competent.
I love it.
Very competent dudes. Very fucking competent. I'll never forget this one guy.
Yeah.
He was a platoon sergeant, and we had the overhead ladder, and you gotta go down the ladder.
Yeah.
With the bars over your head.
Yeah.
Great exercise, and this fucking guy, he was like 45 years old, and we're all like 20, 18, 19,
Right.
21, you know,
Right.
the
Right.
21 was an old guy.
Right.
This guy was like 45. He was fucking tough as nails. And he went back, slap, 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 slap. It's
Okay.
like, holy shit.
I
And
got you.
he whipped all of us.
Why did that lead you to like Black history and to study Black history?
It didn't.
Mm.
It didn't. But, you know, in terms of respecting the capabilities and competencies of Black people as individuals, it certainly didn't hurt.
But you alluded to earlier that after the services when you began to research Black history.
All through, you know, then I met the woman who became my wife when I was 28.
But where does the
Down
Black
in,
history come in at?
well, my wife is still my wife. It's been more than 40 years, and she's still gorgeous, and she's Black.
Oh, I see. I see.
So now, then what happens? So then you have a son. So your son may be lighter skinned
Yeah.
than my wife,
Yeah.
but he's darker than me. He's
Yeah.
Black.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
Well, then you're fighting for your son when, you know, shit comes up in society that like negatively affects him.
What's your go-to story? That when
well,
you tell somebody, you got
I got a good story for you.
Mm.
Frederick Douglass as a little boy. There was Frederick Douglass, 7 years old, and he was the companion of this probably. So they brought him to this household to be the companion of the 6-year-old white boy. The master of the house was probably, he had a white father and a Black mother, Frederick Douglass. We're talking about the 1820s.
right.
It was against the law for white people to teach Black people to read,
Right.
or for Black people to learn to read, and there was penalties for white people if they taught Black people to read. I
Right.
mean, you know, this is pretty freaky in those in the
Yeah.
slave states.
Sure.
Which most of the states in America were.
Right. Right. Right.
Let's remember, in New York, Blacks weren't given their freedom until 1828. In New Jersey, 1846. So there he was in this household. He was 8 years old, the little white boy who was the guy's son, who was the brother of his real biological father, was 6. And the mother was teaching her son to read.
Okay.
And there's Frederick Douglass, 7, 8 years old. And so she's teaching him to read too. And this went on for about 2 months. He writes about it in My Bondage and My Freedom. And I read this, and it pulled at me deep inside. It really did, you know, because I could see it. I could see it. You know, what do I call it? That even as a kid, Frederick Douglass had a high adversity quotient. Like, you know, when you put an obstacle in front of Frederick Douglass, and here he's a little kid. I just appreciated that because
Sure.
I saw that with me in high school with like, no, teach, I ain't going to do the homework, but I'm going to kick ass on the tests. You know, that was like, you know, so I appreciate people with a high
Sure.
adversarial quotient.
Sure. Sure.
So I'm
Sure.
seeing,
Sure.
so the master, quotation marks, comes
Sure.
home, and he sees his wife teaching the two young boys how to read.
Sure.
And he flips out. Did you ever read like My Bondage and My Freedom?
Yeah, I know some of
You
this
know the
story.
story a little
Yeah, I
bit?
know
Yeah,
this
yeah.
story. But
So
he
the guy
flips out
flips
and does
out.
what?
He flips out and he says, you can't do this anymore. So she stops teaching little Frederick Douglass how to read. And Frederick Douglass, he says in his autobiography, My Bondage and My Freedom, he says, or also the shorter first version narrative, he says, well, you know, if they don't want me to read, God damn it, I'm going to learn to read.
Right,
Because
right.
they don't want me to.
That's right. And they
That's
say he
what I
taught
call
himself.
a high adversarial quotient.
Yeah.
They don't want me to learn. And then he would he would go down and he would trade stuff to get a textbook. And he went through a lot. And he had one book. That he bought for a lot of money. Then 50 cents. He paid 50 cents for this textbook called The Columbian Orator. And it was a collection of stuff. It was like a children's textbook. And the magical language that he mastered, Frederick Douglass mastered. And then you think about it, then you got like Malcolm X in the jail cell undergoing, the same kind of internal transformation that manifested itself externally and how articulate he became. But he had like this transformation while he was in the jail cell. It was internal. He made up his mind. He said, man, when I speak to, when I write these letters to Elijah Muhammad, and then he became captain of the debate team. They had a debate with Harvard and they won. He was the captain of the prison debate team. This stuff is not an accident.
Okay.
These are guys with, high adversarial quotients.
Okay.
They would rise to adversity. They would surmount adversity.
Okay.
I just obviously I respect that.
I got you. I love it. I love it. I love it. Let me go into the to another direction just in this regard. When we talked earlier, one of the things you wanted to mention were the naming of streets. There's a Malcolm X Street in New York. Is there a Frederick Douglass Street?
Oh, funny story about that. Okay. Right around 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, nobody was talking about New York City's role in the Underground Railroad. So I guess that's the turning point in terms of me becoming,
Right.
like a really like deep researcher. Downtown New York City was like Tribeca before the Civil War in downtown Manhattan was like Harlem before the Civil War.
Is
It was
that
like the Black
right?
District. It was like the Black District in New
Oh,
York.
really?
There was a lot of blacks downtown. Well, oh yeah, and I joke about, oh yeah, wow, they got an African burial ground and they were surprised. What'd they think? There was no blacks in Manhattan? There was a lot of blacks in Manhattan. Who do you think built the wall on Wall Street? Slave blacks. Who cut the road up through Manhattan? 1658. Enslaved blacks. They cut Broadway through the woods up to New Harlem. A
Really?
little village, yeah, in the north of Manhattan.
Really?
Yeah, it was enslaved blacks cut that road. I was so invested now in the importance of the story that people needed to know
Right.
New York City's role in the Underground Railroad and the
Right.
abolitionist movement.
Right.
Oh, that was the other big thing, was that people wanted to know about the Underground Railroad, but I'm going, if you want to understand the Underground Railroad, you got to look at the abolitionist movement. Because to be like a conductor
Yeah, right.
on the Underground Railroad, first you had to be an
Yeah,
abolitionist.
right. I could see that point.
you had to be against slavery. You had to be
Right.
for the
Right.
abolition of slavery.
Right. Sure.
Maybe whether you thought blacks were equal or not,
Right.
you still hated slavery.
Right.
Now that's a distinction that people are like, well, uh, they didn't think we were equal. Well, hey, you got to give people a little bit of a break for, the milieu that they
Right.
live.
Right.
At
Right.
least they were against slavery. That's a
Right.
big fucking
Yeah,
deal.
that's a big deal there. Yeah, right,
That's
right,
a big deal.
right,
Like,
right,
and then they talk about like, Abraham Lincoln was racist and so on and
right,
so forth.
right,
Then, yeah, he evolved,
right, right,
but he always hated slavery,
right,
even when he was a young man, even though he didn't think blacks were equal
right.
until like then he started to
Hanging
like
out with
walk
Frederick Douglass.
oh, exactly. Rick Douglass, 20 years old, lands at a dock in Manhattan, in South Manhattan,
Okay.
and he escapes from slavery. I'm going, that dock where he landed at was approximately Chambers Street, where Chambers Street hits the Hudson River,
I know what you're talking about.
right? So I said to myself, I said, shit, I got to name that fucking street after Frederick Douglass. Well, what do I name it? Frederick Douglass Place,
Right?
Frederick Douglass Way.
Yeah.
I'm going, Frederick Douglass Landing, because that's where he landed. I started this petition online, and all of a sudden, people started signing it. It was amazing, and I wound up, I was getting hundreds of online signatures for this petition that I wrote. Whereas this, and whereas this,
Right,
and
right,
whereas
right,
that,
right,
and whereas the other thing, we need to honor this location where he landed because it was so historically significant. And that dock that Frederick Douglass landed at when he was 20 years old, that was his Statue of Liberty. I didn't know how to name a street, but I had been like coming up with legislation proposals. And so I knew, a couple of electeds.
So it's
And
so it happened.
they had the vote.
And it happened.
Committee,
Yes.
5-4. 5-4 in favor.
Let me ask you this, a couple quick questions. So
Time flies when you're having
you've
fun.
named other streets.
Over 40.
Give us a couple more names.
Well, first I started with Black abolitionists. So I did the Reverend James Pennington out in Queens. He presided at the wedding of Frederick Douglass to Anne Murray. So I did him. But then I did Paul Robeson uptown, Count Basie, Matthew Henson, W.E.B. Du Bois, A. Philip Randolph, Billie Holiday, Zora Neale Hurston, and Hip Hop Boulevard, Abolitionist Place in Brooklyn. That was a big deal, Abolitionist Place. Hip Hop Boulevard, big deal. That took years. Abolitionist Place took like 2 years. Sugar Hill Luminaries Lawn. That was big.
Yeah.
They're all big. I mean,
Yeah.
really, James Brown way.
Did you
Oh,
do
yeah, I did James Brown. I did Jack Johnson. I did Sugar Ray Robinson.
did you do Madam C.J. Walker?
Yes, I did.
Did you do
Madam
Philip Payton?
C.J. and Alelia Walker place.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. I'm gonna make a statement. You an icon. Those who know you, I'm telling you, this lady suggested you right off the bat. You an icon. You've done something to put your mark on New York City for sure. There are people who know you don't know them or whatever, but they know what you've done. That something came in you to do what you've done. And you didn't necessarily agree to this, but I must say this and take liberty. Seeing those Black officers be as competent as they were, going up and down the thing, giving you orders, saving your life, impressed you enough for you to say, let me look at this history a little bit more. I want to say to you, and I say this with all sincerity, that I want you to stay strong, stay safe, stay on your grind. Are you naming any other cities, any other streets that you might have that you want to see go through?
Yes. Yes. Quite a few, actually.
Okay.
You get a street named after someone like a Philip Randolph or Billie Holiday.
Yeah.
Or James Brown.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, man, you're going to get this feeling of deep satisfaction inside you.
Woo! Woo!
That's
Woo!
That you will keep with you for the rest of your life.
With that, I'll say thank you for coming on Strong Inspirations and sharing this with me and with the viewers. Everybody, it's what we do here at the channel. So if y'all don't get it, if you get a moment, hit the subscribe button. It's free. Hit the like button on this video. Hit the notifications bell for when the videos come up. And tell somebody about Strong Inspirations, where we give it to you straight, no chaser. We intoxicate your mind. Watch. This is what we do. To my friend here, thank you. I'm coming to New York. I'll see you.
All right.
All right.
I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.